Hey everyone, I got to know today's guest through her amazing work with the RunBuzz running community. She's a runner, a triathlete, an RRCA certified running coach. She's also a dietitian with a certification in metabolic assessment, and also just a great person to know. If you're a runner with questions about fueling for success, then you're definitely going to want to stay tuned for this interview with the incomparable Jill Mongene. So here we go. Hi, everyone. Today I'm joined by a runner, an RRCA certified running coach and dietitian. She now resides in the Charlotte, North Carolina area by way of Detroit, Michigan, and Nashville, Tennessee. And through her practice and her online presence at Calorimetry.com and the RunBuzz running community, she's helped literally hundreds of athletes achieve their goals. We've got a great informational and motivational interview ahead of us. So I'm proud to just jump right in with the wonderful Jill Mongene. Thank you for being on my channel today, Jill. How you doing?
Absolutely, Paul. Thank you so much. Very excited.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to have you here. I got to know of you through Steve Carmichael over at RunBuzz, as I just mentioned. But yeah, I mean, through sheer just chance, I found out that we're both live very close to each other, just north of Charlotte, North Carolina, and it's great to know that we probably know a lot of the same people around here. And you know, even beyond that, I think the people who watch my channel on any kind of regular basis are mostly all runners, and I think you've got such a wealth of knowledge that I know will help them all out, and I'm just really glad that you're here with me today.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to share anything and to help runners out. I just absolutely love them, so anything I can do to help.
Yeah, I always like to get a little bit of the athletic background of my guests, so yeah, please do jump in and let us know how you got started.
Okay, so as a child, I was not athletic at all. I was a rather chubby child. And at age 24, I was working in Knoxville, Tennessee, and I had two girls that sat in cubicles beside me, and they said, "I bet you couldn't run a mile."
Oh,
well, don't ever dare me to do something, because I will do 10 times more than that. So awesome. knowing Knoxville, there's a great race in May, usually called the Expo 10K. Within about 3 weeks, I ran a 10K and whipped the snot out of those two girls.
And that's impressive.
It was pretty much history after that. I signed up for a marathon next. I just basically went from the couch to a 10K to a marathon.
Did you say 3 weeks from 0 to 10K? Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah. Wow. Wow. You're a motivated human being.
Oh, I'll tell you, it hurt. It hurt, definitely. But I was like, well, yeah, don't say I can't do something, because I'm doing it.
Good for you. I love that attitude. That's awesome. So, wow. So, okay. I mean, obviously, that's how you got started. You just went from 0 to 60 all at once. But how did that sort of bloom into more of a long-term running goal? Did you know immediately, like when you hit that first 10K, that, wow, I love this running thing, or was it an acquired taste? Or?
No, it was basically like love at first step. As soon as I got out there, I mean, Knoxville, Tennessee is just such an amazing community at all. You know, there's tons of runners market, the running store, just such, you know, there was an Olympic athlete there, Todd Williams. It was just like, I was all in. I was so motivated and so inspired just by the community alone. And that was something that was lacking in my life. So when I found out how special runners are, I decided, I was like, this is lifetime for me. I want to do this for the rest of my life. So I ran the Nashville Country Music Marathon, the inaugural year 2000, and I ran it raising money for Team and Training Leukemia Society, because I'm a big team person. I love to be with others. And of course you could tell I'm an extrovert. So like the more people I bring to the party, the better for me. So I was part of a huge team straight out of the gate at that race. It was oh my gosh, that race is so hard, especially for a first time marathoner.
Yeah.
Oh, the suffering. I mean, my legs hurt for like a month afterwards.
Oh yeah,
Mine
still do after a marathon.
I know. I mean, I was so new. I was so new. I didn't know what I didn't know, but I just kept, the endorphins, and I kept meeting new people, and we had like 100 people on our team, and it just snowballing. And then I don't know if you know this about me at all either. So when I moved to Nashville, Tennessee, I actually had just graduated at the University of Tennessee to be a Master of Accountancy tax accountant for Arthur Andersen back in the day.
Wow.
And,
okay.
Yeah. And lo and behold, I moved to Nashville. I ran that marathon, and I was like, there's not a running store in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm going to open a running store. My husband at the time, well, I mean, we're still wonderful friends. I talk to him all the time, but we're no longer married because I do like to jump off cliffs. And I usually, someone gets to go with me or not go with me. So that being said, I mean, it was a wonderful experience. I opened the first running store in Nashville, Tennessee called Fleet Feet.
What? Are you serious?
Yeah, that's me. That's my claim to fame.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. At this point, I don't know if I'm cutting this out of the interview because my utter ignorance is almost embarrassing here. Wow.
No, it was in 2002. So, I owned the store for 5 years. And I realized I was sitting on a gold mine. And Nashville in 2006 was getting ready to boom. And as a single female owner, there was no way that I was going to be able to keep up with that as far as revenue goes, because I was living in the back of the store. I mean, it was some crazy times. It was awesome, amazing stuff. But yeah, I mean, I kept running through all of that. I was running marathons. I was working the store. I had 20 some employees. And finally I was like, okay, it's time to get up off this golden nugget and let somebody younger than me. I was 35 at the time.
Okay.
But you can't, I guess you could own a running store for 20 years if you wanted to. But I knew for me, I was like, I need to get back to life and to my family. So.
Gotcha. Yeah. I know that, running retail is sort of, I guess any retail for that matter is all consuming.
Yeah. Blessing and a curse. So yeah, I kept running. I know in some of the questions that you sent me before this interview, you asked about like, what was my best experience? And I mean, it just brings tears to my eyes. Like I got to run the New York City Marathon, the big marathon in 2004. And that was my personal record. I was in the best shape of my life. My store was thriving. I was one of the largest accounts for ASICS shoe products. They paid my entire trip. I got an all expense paid VIP trip to the New York City Marathon. And I missed the Boston qualifier by 58 seconds. Like, I know.
That's exactly what happened to me. My first, well, you probably can't see this, but this is my shirt from my first marathon, I guess 5 years ago. And same thing. I was about a minute out from Boston.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, dear Boston, it's so elusive. I was never able to go because I've always been too scared. I'm like, I don't want to go back to New York because like the stars align there. That experience in that city with that company and I was like a queen. I mean, I had a special bus. It was so special to me. So I'm like, I'm just going to put that little memory and keep it in my box forever. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. That's amazing. I mean, so I know you've got a long history, even as a runner. I mean, even before we get into the nutrition side of things, even before we get into the whole dietitian thing, and this wonderful surprise of Fleet Feet and the whole retail side of you that I was not aware of. Please kind of talk me through the just give me a little bit more the progression of you as a runner. Like, I know you went from the 10K, then you started into marathons immediately. Did you explore ultra running?
I did not. I found that my body was really good at like half marathon and marathon distance, so I could recover really quickly doing multiple marathons. So I think there were a few years where I might have done like 3 marathons a year. So between the period of 2000 to 2013, I think I covered 17 marathons. So I did do some double ups, but anything over 26, that was pretty much the limit. I had lots of friends, and I've actually coached a couple people for like 50K, but that's a whole different animal.
Yeah, the reason I asked is I haven't been there yet. I plan to probably in the next couple of years. So
Wow.
just kind of curious.
Yeah, we'll have to keep in touch for that. That is one thing, like using my my numbers brain with the dietitian thing. I can really dial in nutrition on that. So we need to keep in touch.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I would love to have you back on the channel, even, you know, as sort of a resident expert to kind of push me in that direction. I'd love to take the viewers along for the ride, and I know there's just so much to learn there. So
yeah,
that's awesome. Thank you.
thank you.
So okay, yeah. I mean, as far as running goes now for you, what motivates you? What are your? Do you have goals? Do you run just to keep in shape at this point, or are you still competitive?
Yeah, I'd love to be competitive, but I currently am not. And since this whole pandemic has come up in March, I've kind of been not very motivated, you know, because I like to be in groups. And so now that we can't run in groups, I find I don't have any motivation at all.
Yeah, it's been tough for me as well.
I know, it's really, you know, I haven't been coaching anyone. I'm coaching people for nutrition, but not for running. And I just, you know, Steve Carmichael from RunBuzz and we talk often about it, like how to keep people motivated. And it is really so challenging. So to answer your question, that's also kind of like another hidden nugget about me that I'd love to share with the audience is in 2013, I ended up developing a heart issue. So I was diagnosed with what is called posterior orthostatic tachycardia, or what is known as POTS. It's rather familiar in the athletic arena. What it is it's sitting down, you have a really low heart rate. So like my resting heart rate is about 32.
Wow.
And as soon as I get out the door for the first mile, I'm like a firecracker. Like I can hit 223, which is your max heart rate. Yeah, I mean, it's like, and then what happens basically is, you know, from mile 1 to about mile 13, I settle in nice at about 140, 145. But then at the 2-hour mark, I plummet again, which is, it's an electrode. The only way that you can resolve the issue is through massive amounts of salt, because salt is what helps, you know, the heartbeat and keeps the water regulation. So I really, you know, I tried to run Richmond Marathon last year, and at mile 13, I saw it like my heart rate was at 158, then 117, and I knew I was going down that path again.
Gotcha.
So I've retired from marathoning. I'm such a hopeful person. I was thinking about it today, and I was like, there's a marathon in Nashville called the Flying Monkey, and my friend Trent Rosenblum, he's the race director, and I want to run it so bad. So I'm still like, I don't know. I listen to my body these days though, because I know.
Good idea.
Yeah. And you know, the other thing about it too is it's really such a strange little, I guess you could call it, disorder that I often find. I'm actually working with a client right now who has a similar thing, and to be able to take my own experience and to help others get back out, you know, and manage their own situation just through taking salt is pretty I'm like, wow, that's really a niche. Never would have known.
Yeah, that's what you are. That's what you are a specialist at. It's just great to see. It's one thing just to be. I consider myself a very average runner. I just go out there and I just push and see what happens. But it's great to see people who might have physical challenges, who still want to be athletic, who still want to be distance runners, or endurance athletes in any given sport, and to have people like you out there who can help them to achieve those goals. It just makes me so happy that everybody can participate, and people who maybe thought it wasn't in the cards for them. With the help of people like you, they're out there doing it. That's just it just makes the world a better place.
It does. I mean, it's just so fun. I think that's the best part, is like being able to inspire, this individual, that I've been with this person now about, I think we're on week 3. And when this person came to me, they had just gotten out of ICU. And the fact that the person, number one, felt comfortable to reach out to me, did not know my story at all. And then when I heard the person's story and then I shared my own story, we knew that we were a match. And just the trust. I mean, imagine the trust level. Like, that's a really vulnerable situation. And I was able to share and just also provide my expertise. And I mean, the individual is now already up to running 6 miles and really doesn't need, it's really so fun.
That's great. I mean, yeah, because if you can reach that plateau, then, who am I to say? But it sounds like they're ready to just launch into some pretty big things at this point. So
yeah,
that's awesome. So it sounds like half marathon is kind of like where you were happiest.
Yeah, that was my favorite. I have an ability to suffer like nobody's business, and my favorite all time is in the marathon, about 18 miles, where everyone else hits the wall.
Yep.
That's where I wake up and I'm ready for go time. And I put the blinders on. It gives me chills talking about it. I miss it so much. I'm like, if my body gives me one more chance, I'm out there. So yeah, the marathon is my true love. It really is. And then
that's awesome.
One other thing, I don't know that you knew this about me either. I actually did one Ironman triathlon as well. So thinking about that, I did Louisville in 2010, and same thing goes. Like the ability to, it sounds really sick, I know, but the ability to suffer, to take your body to the next level. It was such a cool, where if you're ever watching Kona Ironman on TV or anything, and you see like people sitting on the sidelines, that's where I took my nutrition to a whole nother level. And, once I got into the marathon, that was my specialty. And I passed like 300 people because my gut was just right on, and it was just go time for me. So yeah, that's awesome. That's the beauty of long distance running, just managing your body like a machine.
Exactly. People don't really realize that. They'll go out and they do the training, or they're currently building their training. They're building that distance week to week. And you don't realize, I think most distance runners don't realize until their second or third training cycle, just how much of that training has nothing to do with your physical capability. It's about learning to manage pain, and keep the positive voice at the front. It's just, it's a rare gift, and I would love to, at some point, in the future, maybe we can sit down and just talk about that at length, because it sounds like that's something you are very good at, and something that not a lot of people are good at. So that's amazing.
I know. I was like, if I could be 19 or 20 years old again, I probably wouldn't have went to get an accounting degree. I probably would have got a psychology, like sports psychology and dietetics, because like that is just my passion. It truly is. You
said that COVID has kind of made it tough for you to stay motivated to get out there and run on any kind of regular basis or anything. But what are your general plans? Even if you're not running right now, do you plan to jump back in? And over the last couple of years, really, what has your training schedule look like? What is have you added even cross training to your schedule at all? Or?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for the last 3 years, so really 2000, let's see, I trained and I ran the Richmond half last year in about 2:30. So, about my typical time. I was in pretty good shape. And then my plan really is just to keep base level fitness. So, 25, 30 miles a week. I would still love to be able to have like a 10 to 15 mile long run base. And that's kind of my goal. So, now we're getting into the second half of the year. And so that I made up a little training schedule, and I was like, okay, I'm going to start doing 3 miles 3 times a week, just to kind of get a base in. And that's kind of my plan. Just like everyone else, I'm sure, I'm hoping that races come back, because I do have some things, like I want to do downhill at dawn, half marathon. There's some other, I always ran the Moon Pie 10 miler, which is in Bell Buckle, Tennessee, like those type of things. So just for stress level and everything too, like to be able to run it's just such a great thing. It helps you sleep better, it keeps you young. So yeah, I definitely want to keep running. And then as far as cross training goes, I live on Lake Norman, so I love to open water swim if there's not snakes. But this year it's been snaky. So yeah, I really want to go out, but I'm like, am I going to get a snake? So I've only been out one time this year so far, but it's a beautiful area to swim in. So I love to open water swim. And then I also have a bicycle. So, bicycling around here is fantastic. There's lots of routes. And then I've met some friends in Florida, because, we're all virtual right now. I've met a bunch of other dietitians in Florida, and we've started doing virtual workouts. So it's been really cool. So
how cool is that?
Yeah. So the social nature of me, like I've had to start recreating, like where's my pack? Where's my tribe? I got to find some people, because like I can't sit on this couch forever. So yeah, I've started doing that. Yeah. And then another blessing is right out my back door is I have this, my neighbor is a former fitness competitor. I mean, like guns tomorrow. So if I'm ever feeling not motivated, I just go talk to her, and I'm like, okay, I got to go work out.
How cool is that? That's great.
Yeah. Like 12% body fat.
Neighborhood motivation right there. You go.
Right.
Tell me about what actually motivated you to move from just endurance athlete / runner into coaching. Like what made you want to go and get your RRCA certification?
Yeah. So in 2015, I had a series of events. One, I was working for Tractor Supply Company, which is a wonderful organization, but I was doing 1,700 tax returns. So basically all year long. Everyone else has this misnomer of like, oh, taxes end in April. No, for the corporate world, they're all year long. So I had decided, I was like, let's see, I love people, I love traveling, I love running, I'm sitting at a desk, I'm doing tax returns, and the list just kept getting longer and longer and longer. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go to Louisville. It's my favorite city. I'm going to get this certification and just see what happens. And from there, I like to say that it's kind of just like running. The path just starts getting laid. You got to like keep your eyes wide open on it to see where you're going, because it's talking to you. So I got my certification. I really didn't do anything with it. Then my husband, who is an airline pilot, ended up coming down with celiac disease, which is he had a severe wheat allergy, which ended up being very serious. His father passed away when he was 53 years old. My husband was 3 years old, stage 4 colon cancer. So celiac disease, wheat intolerance is a factor in an unhealthy colon. So we knew that. I went to my dietitian friend and we sat in a meeting together, and she said, why are you even here? you should just go back to school and become a dietitian. And I was like, what? I was 48 years old, 48. And I kept it secret from everyone. My husband got pulled along for the ride. Everything started taking place. My brother had rental houses here in North Carolina. I was like, I have some money left from when I sold my store in Nashville. I think I could buy one of my brother's rental houses. I think I could go to dietetic school. I'm going to do this. So I went ahead and I put in the last tax return, which was Pennsylvania. I set it on my boss's desk, and then I slid a letter and I said, today's my last day. And they said, what are you going to do? And I said, none of your business.
Wow. Talk about just
out.
like,
Oh my God. It was pretty rough at home for many, many months.
but I bet those still very exciting because you knew you were pursuing a dream.
Yeah, I was so excited. I mean, I was lucky. I went to Middle Tennessee State University. They welcomed me with open arms. I jumped in school. I needed 86 credit hours to become a dietitian. There was a school here, Lenoir-Rhyne in Lenoir. I went there for my dietetic internship. I lived in the house that I bought from my brother. My path, it was just like, it was all being laid, you know.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Sort of a meant to be situation.
Yeah. You know, where I'm sitting today, I live directly across from my brother now. We were able to buy the property directly across from my sibling who I adore. So like, I mean,
that's great.
Dreams come true. They do. You just gotta keep your eyes open. Yeah. So I also did get, I got Metabolic Assessment from Arizona State. So yeah. So thinking about, most of the individuals as a dietitian now, when they come to me, you know, they're always like, they have their phone out and they're like, well, my fitness pal told me to eat this much, or my Garmin watch said that I burn this many calories. Folks, it's not true. So what I decided, I was like, I'm going to break this down for people, and I'm going to get certified in metabolics so that I can understand what people's actual numbers are. Because like, if you're watching this interview, I have a pen in my hand, I can't sit still. So, you know, if somebody is saying like, I'm 52 years old. So if you look at my fitness pal and you put in my information, it's going to say, oh, you burn 1,300 calories. No, I don't, because I can't sit still. So that's when I figured, I was like, people need to know their own physical numbers. They need to know how many calories they're taking in. They need to know how much they're burning for their own body. So that's an education piece. And what is so interesting to it now is that almost every single dietetic client that I get is under eating. And
amazing.
Yeah. And, you know, they usually come to me and they say, my running's terrible. I feel terrible. I'm having poor results. I can't lose weight. And I'm like, you need to eat more. And they don't believe me, you know. And then when you know, if they're local, you know, usually I do testing in North Carolina and in Tennessee. If I test them and I show them the proof of their numbers, they just can't even believe it, you know. And usually we raise their numbers and then they start to lose weight, or we raise their numbers and they become this incredible runner. So yeah, it's just food. Just eat more food.
Yeah, gotcha. So I mean, just to try to wrap my head around that, is that typically because, I mean, the way I take that, the way I process that is, if you're not giving your body enough fuel and you're demanding that much physical exercise from it, your body is almost going to go into conservation mode.
That is exactly it. Yeah. I mean, think about it like in a life support situation. You know, it takes 130 grams of carbohydrates per day just to make your brain work. So think about all those people that are on the keto diet. You know, that's where you're not eating carbohydrates. So that your breath, you know, breathing, your digestion, and then you add running into that. So yeah, if you're not eating enough calories, something's got to go. So usually your running suffers, or you can be standing, you know, in a bunch of runners and hear 10 out of 20 say, I've got gut problems. Well, you got gut problems, same thing. You're probably not eating enough. Your body is just like, yeah. I love to educate people. I mean, it's amazing. When I teach them, they're just like mind blown. Like, it was that easy? Yep, it was. Yeah.
Well, easy if you got the knowledge like you do, because I think I'm about 9 years into my running journey. And whether I assume rightly or wrongly, I think I'm a very typical sort of runner in the sense of the order in which I discovered things, how long it took it to set into this, piece of concrete here. But for me, I always started out with, okay, got to be faster, got to go longer. And you're always just worried about your performance, whether it be on a treadmill or every time you lace up and head out onto the road. But I've found that it wasn't until later, maybe 4 years ago, that I started to think seriously about nutrition as sort of one of the factors that I'm going to have to deal with if I'm going to continue to improve. Because there comes a point, I think, just going out there and just hammering your body, you're going to reach that limit. And if you're going to go beyond that limit, things got to start getting a little bit more subtle, a little bit more, you got to pay attention to the little details where before you could just go out and kill. And that's one of the reasons I was really so excited to be able to talk to you. Can you give like I hate to say this, a general set of advice for beginner runners, just to kind of at least get them thinking in the right direction about their nutrition?
Yes, absolutely. So not really in the aspects of nutrition, but it is something that is vital to life. Is number one is hydration. So like, do you know your hydration? Are you drinking enough? And that's the first thing that I usually see, that people are not drinking enough. Get a lot of people that are like, well, I went out for 6 miles. I didn't take any fluids in. I didn't eat any breakfast. Well, yeah. You honestly, anything 60 minutes or more, you have to be taking fluids in. So I love to teach people about sweat rates. So there's an easy little spreadsheet that I have, and I'd be happy to share that with you, that you could put it up on your YouTube site. People can do their own sweat rates, and you would be shocked at how much fluid you lose in 1 hour. So hydration. And then the next thing is, of course, protein. So everyone talks about protein all the time. It doesn't really matter your protein sources. There's a lot of people going plant-based this time. So like beans, animal products, as in meats, fish, eggs, yogurt, dairy, whatever. Just make sure you get it in, because that's the building blocks. Like anytime I hear someone has an injury, I'm like, let's take a look at their protein. Let's make sure they're getting enough in, because you're breaking that down every single time you go outside to run. And then carbohydrates. And then that is kind of the silliest thing that I ever hear is I hear people, they're like, well, I'm on the keto diet, or I'm on a low carb diet, but I'm running 50 miles a week. And I'm like, and how's that going for you?
Exactly. It's like, yeah, I mean, you've got to be burning something when you're out there.
Carbohydrates, simple sugars, are the basis of fuel for exercise. If you are not taking in enough carbohydrates, good luck. I don't know how you're getting by. I really don't.
Okay, that last sentence you just said, when I edit this video, I'm going to put that little clip of video on loop about 10 times. Good. I think that right there, anybody, if you just kind of stepped away from your screen for a minute, rewind and listen to that a few times. That is the key to getting better.
Yeah. I mean, I straight out of the gate, when people come to me, I put them immediately on 50% carbohydrates. And that's the other thing too, is people are always like, should I eat good carbs or bad carbs? They're all good. If you like donuts, eat donuts. If you like Mountain Dew, drink Mountain Dew. By gosh, just get it in. I mean, I have no rules, I don't take anything away. I have everything. I'm going to go ahead and tell on myself. I had chocolate cake for breakfast. It's a carb.
That's awesome. Good for you.
Yeah. And then, and the last thing is the hardest thing, which people struggle with, is fruits and vegetables. And, fruits and vegetables have the vital nutrients that we all must have. And so as a runner, you're constantly creating waste product. And we know that as lactic acid, but also the scientific term is called oxidative stress. And oxidative stress is really very scary. If you're not taking in fruits and vegetables on a daily basis, or you just don't like them overall, and I do get so many people that have a hard time. They just, they weren't raised on that kind of diet. They're like, I just don't have that taste for it. There's no other way, because, a lot of folks think, oh, well, I'll just take a vitamin. Well, a vitamin is like a man-made product in a test tube. Our body really doesn't know what to do with it. And here's the way that I'll tell you, if you take a vitamin and you have a glass of water, and then, the next time you go to the bathroom, you look in the toilet and it's bright yellow, it's because your body has spilled out that vitamin. It doesn't know what to do with it. So I am a non-vitamin person. There's other things to do, like plant powders. There's ground up plant powders that you could do. I put a lot of people on those. And then I just try to get people to change their ways. Like, hey, can you try a green bean? Can you try a potato? It really is what's going to keep us young, and the last thing I'll say about this is it's probably like a whole nother session for us to talk about, because it really is so serious. The saddest part of my running career has been the friends that I have lost over time. And today actually is an anniversary of one of my best friends, Robert Espinoza, who was a world-class athlete that came out of Texas. When your diet is not right, things happen to you, like heart attacks, stress fractures. I hate to even say it, cancer. It can be prevented. It truly can. And that's the other thing I'll say, is that I'm a very giving person. You can probably tell that. People come to me all the time, and if I can tell you how to resolve your issue in 30 minutes, I'm giving you that time for free. So I want to save people. I have a huge heart.
How has the combination of you being a running coach as well as a dietitian given you sort of deeper insight when you're dealing with clients?
That's a wonderful question. It's really interesting because, if you are only a coach, you can always give nutrition advice, but it usually has a bias to it, so it's usually, I'm a running coach and this is what I do and this is what has worked for me. Whereas with me being registered dietitian, I have 1,200 hours of clinical, which is I worked in a hospital facility, seeing some of the sickest individuals. So I know lab results. I can problem solve like nobody's business. Being able, so if someone comes to me and says, oh, I'm running marathon, but everything that I try to eat when I'm running just, it doesn't settle. So then I can kind of dial back into my knowledge base and understand, like, that's a sugar combination. So, I'm well versed in knowing what different types of sugars go in what products. And then I can further dial down and say, okay, well, you probably have an issue with this. Let's try this. Whereas if I was just a coach and wasn't a dietitian, I don't know how successful that person would actually be at their race, because I wouldn't know what to tell them, because I would just, this is what works for me, and that, I think that was,
it's a shot in the dark.
Yeah, I mean, it truly is. And it's really interesting because I talk to coaches all the time. I get phone calls and emails from them. And I do the same thing. Like I'll do Zoom, like, hey, let's problem solve with your individual. And it's really interesting when you get coaches because they do have so much of their own bias. And, I might tell them, well, try this, this, and this. And they look at me like, and when they get off the phone, they're not trying it because they don't believe you.
Gotcha.
Tried and trusted. I know. So,
Exactly. And that's why I kind of wanted to shine a little bit of a spotlight with that last question, because I think it's invaluable. How has running changed your life? It's a silly question, but it's an open-ended question.
Yeah. Running has changed everything about my life. I mean, think about, when I was 9 years old, I weighed over 100 pounds. When I was in sixth grade, I was 140 pounds. I'm probably alive today because of running. I mean, quite honestly, so much we could talk about here. My parents were teenagers when they had me. I grew up in a very risky atmosphere. My brother and I talk about all the time, like, how did we not end up bank robbers or something? And I truly think it is. I think it's because of running. Like those two girls who were in a corporate environment dared me to run.
Mm-hmm.
I maintained my fitness. I have, since 1992, I have been around awesome. I mean, when do you ever meet a runner that they're like a criminal or have a background? Runners are amazing. They're the most wonderful people in the whole world.
Very positive group. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in the darkest times of my life, and this kind of goes into where we're at right now. So my husband's an airline pilot, and sad as it can be, he's lost the eyesight in his right eye. It's a really dark time at my house right now, but I have running. I can go out and run, and I can test my mind, and I can get, my own mental status working well and kind of shut that down for a while. It's done amazing things to me. I mean, I'm 52 years old. I don't feel I look 52 years old. I mean, it's a life change all the way around.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so this is another fun fact. So this morning I was out walking with a lady that I met on Facebook. She is also an airline pilot wife. And, she was like, I want to get to know you. You get to know me. And so I was telling her a little bit about myself. We were sharing, and she looked down at her feet and she said, I was actually in Nashville, Tennessee a couple weeks ago, and the shoes I bought from Fleet Feet. And I was like,
Small world, right?
That was because of me. That was because of running. Yeah, it's amazing.
It all comes full circle one way or another, right?
It does. It does.
It's amazing.
I mean, look at how you and I met. I'm coaching and doing dietitian work for Run Buzz with Steve Carmichael. So same thing. Like we lived down the road from each other. We never would.
It's amazing. It's funny because I mean, when I did that. It's probably 3 weeks now since I did the video interview with Steve. And it was shortly afterwards that you contacted me through, I believe, Instagram. And keep in mind, everybody, if you're watching this, when Jill and I made that first contact, we were like, hey, we should talk sometime. We could probably help a lot of people talking about nutrition and stuff if we did something in the future. With no idea that we were literally probably about 5 miles from each other when that contact was made. I mean, Jill works with Steve and does wonderful work for Run Buzz. But I mean, she could physically have been anywhere in the world. And here we are like 5 miles away from each other. And it's just funny the way the world works.
It is, and the funniest part is like, you were like, hey, let's go running together. And I'm like, I can't keep up with you. I can't keep up with you. But I mean, it was a nice gesture. So I was like, oh, I know people that I can send you to run with, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always, trust me, there are plenty easy days in my schedule. So anytime we can get a group together and just have a little fun out there and, share stories, that'd be great.
We should. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Well, let me ask you this. What do you do for fun? What are your hobbies outside of running? Do you have time for hobbies outside of running and nutrition and everything that keeps you busy?
Yeah, that's the one thing I learned, being a tax accountant. I wanted to take the boss out of my atmosphere, and I wanted to have my own flexible schedule. So I love my brother dearly. I spend a lot of time he has two teenagers, 13 and 15. So I spend a lot of time with them. And then I love dogs. I have a black Labrador and a Tennessee Walker Coonhound who tear my house up, but I love them. And then just neighbors. I live in a really small community with about 6 or 7 houses here, and like the people on my road are just some of my best friends. Like
That's great.
if you ever meet me or you want to get to know me, like just reach out to me, because I am everyone's best friend. I love people. The more people in my life, the better is for me.
It shows. I mean, I just love your positive attitude.
Thank you. Thank you.
So let me ask you this. This is another open-ended one, but I think it's a great opportunity for you to share more of your positivity. If you had to pick one golden nugget of advice for people out there, keeping in mind that this is a running / endurance athlete community, what would that piece of advice be?
Like everyone's saying these days, just go out and do it, because that's the thing. When you go back into my history and think about, I would never have been the body type to ever even think that I would run at all. And it was just because somebody put that little bit of advice in my head that I just went out and did it. And I think that's the biggest thing, is like I hear from people so much, they're so hesitant to try things.
People are scared of looking silly or failing. And if you're trying, you're not failing.
Right. We all had to start somewhere. Just start. Just take the first step. Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful. So simply said and so profound at the same time.
No.
That's awesome. After having watched this, there are going to be a lot of people who want to get in touch with you. So please share all your social media links. What are the easiest and best ways for people to find you?
Yep. Probably the best way to find me, where I hang out the most, of course, is on Facebook. So I am at Jill Mongene, registered dietitian. I spend a lot of time answering questions. So like if you're a runner and you want to get questions, answers, I hang out a lot on RunBuzz Facebook page as well. It's kind of weird for me right now. I'm kind of transitioning. I've started working with airline pilots a lot now because of the situation that we're in and their health and everything. But that being said, I still want to work with athletes. So I think those are probably the two best places. I will tell you, I do have Instagram. I'm known as the aviation dietitian. And then currently I also have Jill Mongene RD on Instagram. I'm very confused about how that's all going to work out, but that gives you 4 good ways to get in touch with me. And then just know this too. I always do 30 minutes free. So like if you just have some kind of burning question that you're like, I want to pass this by someone that's a runner, a coach, and a dietitian, or an Ironman triathlete, reach out to me. I mean, we just pick up the phone, get on Zoom, and I will.
That's great.
Figure out. Yeah.
That's wonderful. And just to let everybody know, take a look in the description below. All of Jill's links and information will be shared there, just to make life easier for everyone. And Jill, let me just take this opportunity to say thank you so much. I know we learned of each other only just a few weeks ago, but what I have learned has been so wonderful, and you've been so giving with your time and with your knowledge, and I just love your positivity. The fact that you're out there and you're trying to help so many people, I think speaks well, not just of you, but again, of the entire running community. Thank you, and we will definitely be in touch. I'm definitely going to take advantage of that 30-minute consult with you myself, and I'm going to try to find a way to work it into my weekly training updates on my channel. And so people will definitely, through this channel, be hearing more from you. And thank you so much.
You're welcome. And just like we talked about on the phone, we should probably do metabolic assessment with you, and then that would be a good learning tool for your viewers. So yeah, I look forward to working more with you, and I'm so happy that we met. It's so exciting.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. This is just wonderful. Only good things to come. There's so much learning ahead for everybody who stays put. So I hope you have a great rest of your day, and everybody keep your eye out because, as I said, Jill will be back, and there's a ton more to learn. So thank you.
Thank you.